I love winning Zwift races. Here's my top tips to help you win your Zwift race. It's very rare that the most powerful rider in a race wins the race. He who wins is he who saves his power for the most important moments. Keep your punches punchier, keep your sprints sprintier by staying at the back when there's nothing gonna happen in the race. And for the start, don't go mad off the start. There's no need to go crazy at the start. That's not a thing. It's a complete myth. Just keep your powder dry. Get at least 3 to 4 bikes in front of you for almost all the race. Almost all the race, you want to have 3 to 4 bikes in front of you. By default, you want to be at the back. If there's a bit on the flat, you know it's on the flat, then stay at the back. Get plenty of draft. Look at me, look how relaxed I am. Just stay at the back. There's no need to be pumping out power at the front. Stay at the back, maximize the draft, and you will set yourself up for the win. As much as you might want to be at the back through the entire race, it's important to stay in touch with the front. So, during pinch points and little climbs, you want to be moving forward. You get the benefit of a slingshot effect as you're moving through the group. I know this isn't much of a climb, but I've decided to use just one race to show you how to win. And as this climb starts, I gradually move forward. I don't want to get dropped. If I stay at the back, I get dropped by the back markers. But I move through the group. I'm keeping an eye on the front, and I just gradually move forward during the climb. There's few things more important during a race as getting some rest, and it's the most ignored skill in Zwift. So when you're coming downhill, if you're at the back, you're getting a huge amount of draft. Look at the amount of draft I'm getting here. Like, the draft gauge shows I'm getting 200 watts. So those at the front are expending 200 watts more than I to come down here. And as it gets faster and faster, the more that increase is observed. So as I'm coming down the really steep bit, the steeper it gets, the less you have to pedal. So just stop pedaling. Look, I'm just stopping pedaling here. No need to pedal. Get nice little rest as you would in real life. Just stop pedaling. If you want to win a Zwift race, you need to both save the most amount of energy by being up back, but also you can't get dropped, so you got to watch the front. That means staying in touch with what's going on, especially at pinch points. So here we're approaching the dirty suppressor. The saying could be held true for any small climb, and although I'm staying at the back, I'm keeping a keen eye on what's going on at the front. So looks fine here, so I'm keeping my power low and just staying behind a big group. But then as small gaps start to open up and a potential danger comes in, I just move forward. Still getting plenty of draft. Little gap there, so I decide to close that. Just watch the front. Don't let a big gap open up by a big group. This next point comes with a massive caveat. If you want to hit the front, if you're a heavier rider with a big FTP, you might want to cause some pain to those guys who were just saving themselves for the punchier sections and the sprint. But if you want to save yourself for the sprint, stay off the front at all costs. Let your power go to zero in the middle of a chase, whatever it takes. Just save your energy and let those big guys waste their watts. So here I've chased down those guys and I nearly hit the front, but I just completely come off the path. This is one of the big advantages you can gain by being a savvy racer. Save your best power-up for the finish. Whatever the best power-up is for the finish, which is usually the aero, then save it for the finish. Some people just let the power-up gods decide what power-up they'll get. In this race that I was doing here, I knew I wanted the Ghost. Now, there's 3 more power-up opportunities in this race, but once I got the Ghost, I was like, right, I'm going to keep the Ghost because that is my advantage during this race, to have the best power-up. Save the aero generally. Play the odds. What are the chances that a breakaway is going to work with half the race to go, 15 kilometers, if there's just 2 riders? Not much. But what if 4 or 5 riders go? What if 5 or 6 riders go? If you're all in for the win, and I want to be in for the win, then you've got to join these guys just in case. There's a ramp coming up that I know about. So I jump across, and this could be, probably won't be, the winning move. But if someone had really pushed it there, that could have really split up the entire race and it being the winning move. So you've got to judge the moment. When's the time to go? When's the time to sit? And that was the time to go. If you log on to Zwift Power before or perhaps even during a race, you can suss out whether your opponents have very large power, perhaps a large sprint or very large FTP. And I'd done so in my race, and I'd noticed that one rider had a very high 20-minute and 5-minute, and on further digging, he had even higher results in the past. So he was obviously a very powerful rider. His name was, I think it was Kurusuki. So when he made a move off the front with 7.5 kilometers to go, I normally probably wouldn't bother chasing that down, but knowing what I did know, I decided it was worth the effort. He made another effort later on. I hoped that other people would close it down, so I gave them a minute or so to make their move. But when he kept getting further away and the finish approaching, only 4k to go, I decided it was time to make a move and close that down. So I used steering to keep people out of my draft, but someone had already used a Ghost to try and close the gap. So once I got in his draft on the descent, I decided to lay off, and he brought it back for me. And the opposite also applies. If you see someone who's got a huge sprint, then you might want to make a move early, go long, try and negate their awesome sprint power. If you've only got 2 minutes to prepare for a race, the most important thing that you can do is to familiarise yourself with the course, especially the finish. Look at Zwift Insider, have a look at the course profile, check out a video if you can. There's usually a video on YouTube for one race on the course that you're going to do. At least come up with a plan as to how you're going to handle the finish. So this race has a 3% ramp at about 1.4 kilometers to go, where people who don't have much of a sprint often make a move. So that happens in this race. So Kurusuki again making the move, with Twig again, who's been strong in the move so far, following. But I've got a plan for the finish, and it doesn't involve going there. So I close down that move, possibly 2 moves really, and get myself set for how I want the finish to be resolved. Play to your strengths. So if your strength is 5-minute power, try and make a move which means that the race will be determined by 5-minute power. If it's 15-second power, then wait for the sprint. My strength is around 1-minute power, and that the previous day I'd been beaten by someone using a Ghost on a corner where it couldn't be easily detected and going for it. So my strength was knowledge. So I wanted to use these 2 strengths to let the finish play out how I wanted to. Brought everything back together. I'm heading towards the back of the group where I'll get a good lead in and my Ghost power up, will hopefully mean that I don't get noticed if I'm at the back when I fire it. I know I want to fire it here, so I fire the ghost power up. Didn't really get the slingshot that I wanted because I steered out of the way of the group, but when I appear I've got a gap and I've got speed. So Macias behind has a bigger sprint than me, but he has to make up ground. Out. Boom! And there we have it, first and second in the race using the least power. Hope you enjoy these tips and put them to good use. Good luck!